So, what's up people and welcome to the Mission 96 discussion of Spy Family. So Mission 96 came out very recently, and as always I will leave a link to this mission that's currently being shown on the publisher's official website, Manga Plus, for free to the North American audience. So if you're interested, we'll go take a look at it before they pull this mission back. Okay, so Mission 96. So, if you recall for Mission 95, if the story that was contained in it brought smiles to many of the Damian ship fans, and it was considered a win, then Mission 96 is considered a landslide victory for those fans. And I presume a good number of them were cheering after reading this particular mission. And so thank you for a few of the people who sent comments that Mission 96 was out. I almost forgot that it was coming out this week. And so I really appreciate your comments with regards to that. But anyway, Mission 96. If you recall, Mission 95 left off where Emil and Ewan were going to have a contest with regards to who will be dancing with Damian. And they were going to create this contest, and all the girls who wanted to participate can compete, and whoever the winner would be able to dance with Damian. And so Mission 96 starts out from there, and Emil and Ewan are already gathering all the girls who want to participate, and there is a tremendous amount of tension and competition amongst the girls. So much so that because Anya can read their minds, her mind becomes a little bit all mixed up and overwhelmed by their sheer tenacity. But of course, Anya is not about to lose this game either. And to be honest, it's a good thing that I think Emil and Ewan were the ones that created this contest. Because if it was something like Eden College, I don't think she would have stood a chance because it would have probably involved academia. But because this is Emil and Ewan, it involved whatever came out of their weird heads. And so the beginning, it starts out with some physical competition. And usually Anya is terrible at physical competition, but don't forget, Papa Lloyd is there. And so, the first competition turns out to be something with regards to balancing. And with the ingenuity of Lloyd, who pretends to be a butler and brushes off the lint from Anya's dress, and in so doing puts on some supporting gear, wire supports, and like a puppet basically helps make sure that Anya doesn't fall over. And so she ends up winning that contest to everybody's surprise. But the next one turns out to be an obstacle course. And once again, Anya is not the most physically capable person. And so this turns out to be much more of a problem. But there is one advantage that Anya has over the other girls in that she basically has no embarrassment. And so while the other girls are daintily trying to go through this obstacle course in their fancy dress, Anya's basically headlong going into it and doesn't care how she looks, And this, of course, brings out the competitive drive in the other girls, and this turns into a mass race. And once again, we have to thank Emil and Ewan to be the ones who created this contest, because if it was a standard obstacle course, Anya may have lost, but because they had such weird parts of this race, such as the inchworm part where Anya could actually do some very strange movements, she ended up being third in this obstacle course. So she's actually doing quite well. And so she gets left into the remaining crowd that gets to move on to what is now the question and answer part. So of course this turns out to be a lot more difficult, or so I thought, until it turns out, of course, that it's Emil and Ewan again that puts together the contest. And it turns out that they will be asking questions specifically revolving around Damian to find out just how much the girls understand him. And so the questions are so whacked out, like what did he eat for breakfast that morning, and all of these situations, that Anya actually turns out to have an advantage, because not only can she read Damian's mind, she can read the minds of the people who created the questions, Emil and Ewan, and so even under trick questions, she actually did well. It's only the ones that required academic skill that yeah, she didn't do so well in. But she did okay. And at this point, where we're halfway into the mission, is where I really started liking the chapter. Sure, the beginning part was funny and all of this comedic situations coming, and we see Lloyd's ingenuity by being able to support Anya while not giving himself away. That's, of course, interesting. But the second half is where Anya really shined. And this already starts at the very end of this question and answer period when Emil and Ewan asks, who does Damian like the most? And of course, all the girls gave various answers, such as themselves or some girl that was very popular in school. But Anya knew, and she didn't even have to read the mind of anybody to understand this, because this really showed just how much closer these two people have become when Anya answered, the person Damian loves the most is his father. And by answering that, it stirs something inside Damian, as we find out. And of course, this really pisses off Emil and Ewan, because they don't want this peasant girl to be able to win the dance with Damian. But by this time, it's already too late, and she does come out in first place. And so, Emil and Ewan, as much as you didn't want Anya to win, you actually ended up being good wingmen for this particular situation. And so we move on to the dance. Yeah, we find out just how awkward this dance is to both Damian and Anya, because Damian really, as much as he has feelings for Anya, doesn't particularly want to show it, and it becomes extremely embarrassing for him. And of course, in case of Anya, it really was for the mission, and so this dance social thing becomes an extremely unfamiliar situation for her. And the whole thing ends up where they're starting to argue in the middle of the dance floor because neither one of them are dancing too well. And kudos to Mr. Henderson for telling them that dance is not about scholastics or anything else. It's a place of elegance. And understanding that, they should understand exactly how to dance elegantly. And so Damian realizes that of course that is the case, and of course he has learned to dance in the past. And it turns out that once they start trying, they actually do quite well. And so Damian becomes surprised and wonders why Anya can actually dance. And Anya answers it's because Papa helped her practice with regards to the dance. Now, of course, Damian recalls who Lloyd Folger is because he did meet him once. And he mentioned how passionate Anya's father was. And Anya agrees to that. And it's at that point that we see a very nice side of Damian, because he remembers the father, he listens to the relationship that Anya seems to have with her papa, and he answers, your family seems very nice. And this surprises Anya so much, and of course it surprises Damian that he answered that way. And so he starts trying to explain things with regards to he didn't mean it that way, he just was surprised that she could actually dance. And in any case, he starts asking, how were you able to answer many of those really personal questions that Emil and Ewan gave? Are you able to read people's minds or something? And for that very instant, Anya's defense comes completely down and she answers, yes, I can read people's minds. So you start seeing how their character is actually being influenced not only by their relationship, but even by this particular dance. But of course, Damian, knowing just how much of a goofball Anya is, doesn't particularly believe her. And so he starts complaining to her again. Of course, she starts complaining to him. And the dance ends up with those two kind of going at each other again. And there's a beautiful, beautiful scene of them at the very end, dancing the way you would expect Damian and Anya to dance. And you could see from this perspective, they are having a very good relationship. And I am very happy that Tatsuya Endo put together this relationship in this way. A lot of people wanted Damian and Anya to ship immediately after they saw the first few chapters of Spy Family, but Tatsuya Endo understood this relationship has to build on its own, and considering how awkward the situation is and how unique the characters are, they're going to have an awkward relationship, which they have. And you could see it at this very end of this chapter with the stance. This is how Anya and Damian are going to be. It's not going to be this really lovey-dovey sort of situation. It's about the friendship that they build while they're continuing to argue with each other. And I absolutely love this last image of these two dancing in that manner, because you can understand that this will probably bond them even closer in the future, but they will continue to go on probably arguing with each other as things go on. And most likely, even if they grow up, even as teenagers, they will continue to have this sort of relationship where they will be good friends, even if they start having a romantic relationship once they are older, if that happens. So this was a very good story, and it definitely gave, once again, a lot of Damian ship fans a major win in this situation. And I have to give credit to Mr. Henderson for being that smooth-talking, elegant man that he is by asking Martha for a dance. And so this turned out to be a very nice chapter. It was very goofball in the beginning, as you expect Spy Family to be, but Tatsuya Endo always has a way of being able to bring in feeling and empathy to his stories. So I think this part of the story will end with this particular chapter, and we'll go on to a new set of stories in the next one. And I'll be looking forward to seeing what will happen in chapter 97. Will it be a long, serious arc, or will it be one of those humorous, comical ones again? Once that chapter comes out, I'll bring out another video. I hope you join me at that time. But this is the chapter 96 discussion of Spy Family. If you read it, what do you think about it? What do you think about how the relationship between Anya and Damian is turning out? Any comments will be greatly appreciated. And until the next chapter, happy manga reading, and as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.